All right, Bible readers, it is time for another quick Bible study, and we are continuing in the book of Proverbs, and today is covering Proverbs chapter 21 through 27. So let's jump right in. We're doing an overview of each chapter. So chapter 21, verse 11 says, "When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receiveth knowledge." So the Bible is equating somebody that's a scorner as being simple, but they can become wise. And when someone that is wise is instructed, they'll actually receive knowledge. So it's kind of interesting, in my opinion, because just because instruction is given, it doesn't necessarily mean it's received. And yeah, I know that's kind of simple, but it's just something to think about. As if your goal is to know more about God, well, his instruction, so to speak, is in the Bible. But to receive it, we have to read and study it. Okay. Proverbs chapter 22. So people often discuss the meaning of life, right? This is the age-old question, what's the meaning of life? And I think Proverbs 22, verse 2, kind of gives us a picture of where all of this ends. It doesn't necessarily explain the meaning of life, but it certainly tells us where we're all going to end up. So it says, "The rich and the poor meet together. The Lord is the maker of them all." So the Bible talks about two judgments. There's a judgment seat of Christ, and there's the great white throne judgment. And depending on whether you are a child of God or not, dictates which one you're going to go to. But at some point, every person is going to be judged before the Lord, rich or poor. So I hope you're ready for that. If you're not, if you haven't trusted in Jesus Christ, it's not too late. It's easy and it's worth it. So if you don't know how to become a Christian, I'd love to talk to you about that. All right, moving on. So these next several verses, I'm going to read through them. I'm going to highlight a few things, but to me, it like kind of sums up all of life as a Christian. So let's just jump right in. Proverbs 22:17 says, "Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise, and apply thine heart unto my knowledge." Okay, so it's not just any knowledge, it's somebody's knowledge. Proverbs 22:18, "For it is a pleasant thing if thou keep them within thee, they shall withal be fitted in thy lips." So in other words, this knowledge should be coming out of our lips. We should be able to speak about these things in a fitted way. Like, if something fits, it makes sense, right? My hands fit together perfectly because somebody designed them. If they didn't fit together, they'd be all jangled and it just, nothing would fit. It'd be like two puzzle pieces that don't match. But this verse is saying that we can have this knowledge that's fitted in our lips. Verse 19, "That thy trust may be in the Lord." Well, yeah, that's always been the case. No matter what dispensation you're in, it requires some kind of trust in the Lord or trust in God. Thankfully, in the dispensation of the grace of God, we have the ultimate sacrifice for sins in the form of Jesus Christ. All right, verse 20, "Have not I written to thee excellent things in counsels and knowledge?" 21, "That I may make thee know the certainty of the words of truth." Hey, I'm going to tell you, this is my life mission, to know with certainty the words of truth. That's why I am currently on my 26th time through the Bible. I read it and read it and read it and read it, and I study it, and I've done this for years. And it's just part of who I am. All right, we're moving on to chapter 23 of Proverbs. And I'm going to say the Bible has always been a mindset book. All the book, I don't care who you're talking about. Yeah, I'm not even going to name names. Pick whatever flavor of mindset person you want. They got everything they do from the Bible. One way or the other, it's all connected back to the Bible. Most people won't agree with me because, well, they've either never read the Bible or they've read it once and they think they understand something about it, and that's not possible. In fact, I would say, even though I'm on my 26th time through, I've got about this much understanding. But nonetheless, I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to figure it out. So Proverbs 23:7, "For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he." You ever heard anything like that before? That one portion of a sentence has been reworked 1,000 different ways by mindset people and authors around the world. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. Okay, not going into that portion of it. Proverbs 23:12, apply thine heart unto instruction and thine ears to the words of knowledge. Yeah. Hey, if you're going to get good and proficient and learn some things, you have to apply your heart and your ears to the words of knowledge. And it just takes, there's no quick course. There's no 5 steps. There's no 7-day plan. This is a lifetime effort. Proverbs 23:12, apply thine heart unto the instruction. And I already read that verse. So, hey, sorry about that. We're moving on to Proverbs chapter 24, and there's more mindset stuff. 24:3 says, through wisdom is an house builded, and understanding it, and by understanding it is established. So wisdom builds, understanding establishes. And I think if you can hold on to that pattern, you'll have something that will carry you through in life. So what is wisdom? It's a good question. Wisdom is knowledge plus experience. Okay. So in other words, people talk about, you can't learn how to take pictures. You can't learn to become a professional photographer by just reading books. You got to actually go do it at some point. You can't become a race car driver by just sitting in a classroom and learning, race car dynamics or something. You have to actually go out and do it. But all of it's required. Okay. If you don't understand if you don't have the knowledge to operate a camera, you're never going to be able to go out and take reasonable pictures. So knowledge and experience equals wisdom, but understanding establishes things. Proverbs 24:4, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. 24:5, a wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth strength. Oh man, so much here. I'm just going to kind of let this, if you're here and you're listening, it's probably because you care. If I'm boring you, it's probably because you don't care. The words of God excite me on a level like never before. And it didn't happen the first time I read the Bible, probably didn't happen after the 10th time, but something caused me to stick with it. And now the Bible has something to say about everything, but you got to study it. Okay, moving on. Let's just jump to chapter 25. It says in verse 11, a word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in pictures of silver. What a picture that paints. So what does the world say? Hey, I grew up in a world that said sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Well, not according to the Bible. Look at what Proverbs 25:15 says. By long forbearing is a prince persuaded, and a soft tongue breaketh the bone. A soft tongue breaketh the bone, not even a harsh tongue or it's a soft tongue breaking bones. Well, how's that? Well, all I got to do is whisper in your ear and tell you that you're stupid or ugly. And if you're not sure about yourself, you might believe that. And those simple, soft-spoken words can literally crush you. Okay, may not physically break your bone, but it's going to cripple your life. I was told words like that when I was a kid. You're this, you're that, you're not this, you're not that, right? We probably all heard things like that. Had to overcome some of those things. All right, moving on. Chapter 26. And here's one of my all-time favorite passages. It's 26, verse 4 and verse 5. It took me a long time to figure this out in my life. I didn't know how to apply it. I didn't really know how to understand it. So listen carefully. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest thou also be like unto him. Verse 5 says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own conceit. So what's the answer to this? When someone is genuinely wanting to know and gain knowledge or gain wisdom or gain understanding, they will talk in a certain way. When someone just wants to mock and make fun and they're not serious, they're going to talk a different kind of way. So if you're trying to help people understand the truth, it takes some discernment in terms of how you answer those two different people. All right, moving on. And I'm about to bring this ship into harbor here. So Proverbs chapter 27. Okay, so this next verse I'm going to read, first verse of the chapter. So, I think this verse encompasses so much about humility and knowing our place in God's creation. So it says, very simply, boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what a day may bring forth. Right? People say this kind of stuff all the time. And this is why I say the Bible has something to say about everything. So, can we know anything about what's going to happen tomorrow? No. We can make predictions, we can make some assumptions, we can plan ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't get too fixated. The Lord might take you home. The Lord might, change your plans. I don't know. So, plan, pray, seek God's face, read his words, do your best to try to figure out, what you should do with your life, but also kind of have that balance of not of knowing that you don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, that's all I got. I hope you got something out of this. I'd love to connect with you, reach out, and we'll have a conversation. If not, have a good Bible read.